Hey, I know it sounds crazy, but yes, I saved a mermaid prince, and then he asked me to be his bride. I mean, who would believe something like this could happen? Right? Well, it did, and here's my story. But before we continue, please consider subscribing. Thanks a bunch. Hey, I'm Riley, a 17-year-old girl living in a small coastal town in California. It's one of those places where everyone knows everyone, and life is pretty quiet. I like it, though. The beach is my favorite place to hang out, especially when I want to be alone. Mermaids. Everyone says they're mythical creatures, right? Stories for kids. Something you read about in fairy tales, but I know that's not true. I've always known. My parents used to tell me stories passed down from their parents, and from their parents before them, about our ancestors being linked to mermaids. Yeah, I know it sounds crazy. I didn't really believe it either. At least not until I met him. My family has this necklace. It's been passed down through generations. They say it holds the power to turn someone into a mermaid or give them legs when they need it the most. I always thought it was just an old family legend, some ancient story meant to teach us about faith or something. I never took it seriously, but I still wear this necklace just in case. On this particular day, I went for a walk along the shore. It was one of those perfect summer afternoons. The sun was shining, the waves were gentle, and the seagulls were flying above. I wasn't expecting anything strange to happen. I mean, my life is pretty normal, or at least it used to be. As I walked further down the beach, away from where most people hang out, I heard something. It was faint, like someone calling out for help, but there wasn't anyone around. I stopped, listening closely. The sound came again, and this time I was sure it was a voice of a human asking for help. My heart started racing. Who could be in trouble out here? I followed the sound, climbing over some rocks, and that's when I saw him. At first, I wasn't sure what I was looking at, a guy tangled up in a bunch of seaweed and fishing nets. But then I saw it. His tail. Yeah, a tail. A shiny blue-green tail like something out of a movie. My first thought was that I was dreaming, but the guy groaned and tried to free himself, clearly in pain. Hey, are you okay? I called out, rushing over.
Help me.
He said, his voice strained. His face was pale, and he looked exhausted. I didn't know what to do, but I knew I couldn't just leave him there. I started pulling at the nets, trying to untangle him. It wasn't easy. The seaweed was wrapped around his tail so tightly that I had to use all my strength to pull it off. Thankfully, it was working. After what felt like forever, I finally freed him, and he collapsed onto the rocks, breathing heavily. That's when I got a closer look at him. His hair was blonde and messy. His eyes were the most intense shade of green I'd ever seen. And his tail, well, it was real. There was no doubt about it. Thank you, he said, his voice soft but full of relief. What are you? I asked, still trying to process what I was seeing.
My name is Caspian. I'm a prince. From the underwater kingdom of Aquaris.
A prince? From an underwater kingdom? This was too crazy, but he didn't seem like he was joking. How did you end up here? I asked, my curiosity growing.
It's a long story, but I'll tell you.
Over the next few minutes, Caspian told me everything. He was the son of the king and queen of Aquaris, a kingdom deep beneath the ocean, since he was the only heir to the throne, and he had come of age. His parents were worried and had been pressuring him for years to find a bride, someone who could rule the kingdom with him. But no matter how many mermaids he met, none of them felt like the one.
I didn't want to marry someone just because it was expected of me. I wanted to find someone I truly loved.
I nodded, understanding his feelings. It's hard when people expect you to do something, even if it's not what you want.
So, one day I ran away. I swam to the surface, wanting to experience life outside of the ocean. But it's forbidden for mermaids to leave the sea. I didn't realize how dangerous it would be.
I frowned. Dangerous? How?
It's forbidden for us to leave the ocean. There are ancient rules that protect the sea. But I couldn't take it anymore. I had to get away.
As he spoke, I felt something stir inside me. Something I hadn't felt before. The stories my parents used to tell me about our ancestors, about the necklace, suddenly didn't seem so far-fetched. Over the next few days, I couldn't stop thinking about Caspian. He stayed hidden near the beach, and I brought him food and supplies. We talked a lot, and I started to feel like I understood him. He was trapped in a world where he didn't have control over his own life, and all he wanted was to be free. One day, as we sat by the water, I pulled the necklace from around my neck. It was simple, with a small, glowing stone in the center. My parents told me that it was a gift from our mermaid ancestors. It had had magical powers. But I never believed it, until now. "Here," I said, holding it out to Caspian.
What is it? What is it?
"It's been in my family for generations," I explained. "It's said to have the power to turn someone into a human or a mermaid, depending on what they need. I don't know if it really works, but maybe it can help you."
Why are you giving this to me?
I smiled, feeling a warmth in my chest. "Because I believe in you, and I think you deserve a choice." That night, something amazing happened. Caspian put on the necklace, and as soon as the glowing stone touched his skin, his tail began to shimmer and transform. I watched in awe as his tail turned into legs. Just like that, he stood up, wobbling a little on his new legs, and looked at me with wide eyes.
It worked. It worked.
He whispered, his voice filled with wonder. "I guess the legend was true, after all," I said, still in shock myself.
Thank you, Riley. You've given me a chance to live the life I've always wanted.
After Caspian turned into a human, we spent the next few days together, exploring the town. I had never seen anyone so fascinated by the human world. The simplest things made him light up with excitement. We went to an ice cream shop, and when he tasted vanilla ice cream for the first time, he couldn't stop smiling. "It's cold but sweet," he said, taking another bite like he'd discovered a treasure.
We don't have anything like this under the sea. There are no flavors like this.
I loved showing him around. We walked through the small streets of the town, stopping by shops and cafes. He was amazed by everything. The cars, the buildings, even the way humans moved through their day-to-day lives. It was like seeing the world through new eyes, and it made me appreciate the little things more. "It must be so different where you're from," I said one day as we sat by the beach, watching the sunset. He nodded, his green eyes reflecting the golden light of the setting sun.
It is. Everything is so. Calm down here. The water glows at night. We don't have sunsets like this, though. The sky is always dark.
He told me stories of his kingdom, Aquaris. He described the grand coral palaces that shimmered with colors I couldn't even imagine, and the vast sea creatures that swam through the deep waters. He spoke of his parents, the king and queen, who ruled with strictness but also care for their people, Caspian said, his tone serious.
My father always told me that the ocean is our responsibility, but I never wanted that kind of power. I just wanted to live my life, to see the world outside.
I listened, completely enthralled by his stories. His world sounded beautiful and magical, but I could tell that it had been hard for him, being a prince with all those expectations on his shoulders. It wasn't the fairy tale it seemed to be. In return, I told him about my life, about growing up in a small town where everyone knew everyone. I told him about my family, how my parents always talked about the sea as if it were part of our souls. I used to think they were just making up stories, I admitted. But now, I think they knew more than I realized. He smiled at me, that soft, kind smile that made me feel like I was the only person in the world.
Maybe your family always knew you were destined to meet me.
I laughed, shaking my head. Maybe I'm just lucky. It was fascinating, hearing about a world I could barely imagine. But at the same time, I could tell that Caspian was struggling. He missed his home, but he didn't want to go back to the pressure of being a prince. He said one night, as we sat by the beach, watching the stars,
I just want to be free, but I don't know if that's possible.
I felt a pang of sadness for him. He was stuck between two worlds, not really belonging to either, and I knew I was starting to feel something for him, something I didn't expect. He turned to me, his eyes serious but kind.
Riley, I want to show you something. Will you come with me? To the ocean?
My heart raced. Go with him to the ocean. I didn't know what to expect, but I nodded. Yes, I whispered, feeling a strange mix of excitement and nervousness. He smiled, a genuine relieved smile, and took my hand.
Trust me, I won't let anything happen to you.
Together, we walked towards the water. Caspian put the necklace back around my neck, the glowing stone warm against my skin. It's time, he said, his gaze locked with mine. I didn't fully understand what was about to happen, but I trusted him. As soon as we stepped into the water, I felt a strange sensation wash over me. The necklace glowed brighter, and I watched in awe as my legs transformed. Just like Caspian's tail had when he became human. Now, I had a shimmering tail of my own, just like the stories my parents used to tell. We dove into the water, and I followed Caspian into the depths of the ocean. Swimming with Caspian in the ocean was like nothing I had ever experienced. The world beneath the sea was beautiful, vibrant, and alive in ways I couldn't have imagined. Coral reefs glowed with soft light, and fish of all colors swam around us like a living rainbow. Caspian showed me the way to his kingdom, Aquaris. We swam through vast underwater palaces made of coral and pearls. I felt like I had stepped into a dream. The people, mermaids and mermen, watched us as we swam by, but they didn't say a word. When we reached the palace, Caspian's parents, the king and queen, were waiting for us. I expected anger or disappointment in their eyes, but instead, they looked calm.
My son, you've made your choice to follow your heart.
I have, Father, but I don't want to abandon our world or the surface. I want to find a way to live in both.
Love is not something we can control. If this human girl is where your heart lies, then so be it. But understand, the ocean will always be a part of you.
I stood there, feeling like I was in a moment that was far bigger than I could have imagined. The king and queen weren't fighting us. They were accepting us. I glanced at Caspian, and for the first time, I felt like we had a real future, one where both of our worlds could exist together. Caspian turned to me, his eyes full of warmth. He said, taking my hands in his,
Riley, I've never felt this way about anyone before. You've changed my life, and I don't want to live in a world without you.
He paused, his gaze never leaving mine. I know this is sudden, but will you marry me? Will you be my bride and share both the sea and the surface with me? I was speechless for a moment. My heart was pounding, and I could feel the weight of his words. But I didn't need time to think. I knew my answer. Yes, I whispered, smiling as tears welled in my eyes. I will. And that was it. My life changed forever. We spent time both in the ocean and on land, living in both worlds, finding a balance between them. The necklace allowed us to move between the two, and each day felt like a new adventure. Caspian and I were partners, exploring the mysteries of both the sea and the surface together. So yeah, that's how I, Riley, ended up engaged to a mermaid prince. And even though our story started with an ancient legend and a magical necklace, it turned into something far more real and beautiful than I ever could have imagined. And I wouldn't trade it for anything. So that is my happy ending. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next one.